Emotional projection coping mechanism checklist. So that's the first thing that we're going to work on today, just doing this checklist. And that's going to take us into an exercise and the one and only ritual that we do here. So exercise 23, exploring self-protect projection in personal relationships, and ritual, the liberating power of letting go. I want to kind of start talking about letting go, you guys, because I hear a lot of people say things to me like, it's it's so hard, Nat. It's so hard to let go. And no, it's not. I want you to walk around. I want you to get up, right? Pause this video after I tell you what to do, right? Get up and go find the heaviest thing, something that you can barely carry. And I want you to hold it for as long as you can. I promise you, letting it go will be the easiest thing that you do. Carrying it is what is harmful. Carrying it is what is painful. Letting go of it is not hard. Again, it's just a choice. So I want to start there because I want to cut through the BS. All right. It's not hard to let go. You just haven't made the choice to do it because you're fine with carrying weight that is dismissing you, diminishing you, and harming you. That's a choice. All right. Now, when we talk about projection, I think we all understand what that is, but I want to talk a little bit about why our ego projects so much, right? Our ego, again, tasked with keeping us very safe, is always analyzing past data, right? To forecast future outcomes. So all these things have happened in the past, so they must be going to happen in the future again, right? The same goes for how I project my values, my beliefs, my insecurities onto others. Okay. They all come from a same place of trying to keep myself safe while also trying to control outcomes, whether in interpersonal relationships or whether in a broader sense, right? So if we talk about it in the broader sense, I want you to understand what you're doing. You are taking your past pain and you're putting it on a literal projector, not a literal, y'all know what I mean, a figurative projector, and you're projecting it into your future. And guess what you will walk right into? That projection. And then you wonder why you keep living in the same energy, but you're the one who keeps projecting it forward. A lot of times when we do that internal projection with others, in the context of relationships, that is happening in part because when I am not healed, I'm making mirrors of all of my relationships around me so that I can heal from that thing, right? That's why I tell you shadow work, being guided and doing your shadow work is helpful. Because if you try doing it on your own, you do make mirrors of all your relationships and it makes everything much harder. So, in this way, I'm subconsciously projecting my feelings onto you so that I can see them, right? So either I'm projecting to keep myself safe, like I believe you're going to do these things. It's born of my insecurity because I'm trying to keep myself safe, or I'm projecting my unseen emotions onto you so that I can see them. That's a very subconscious thing that I'm doing. Either way, these are ways of keeping myself more safe, and they're very dysfunctional ways of operating. Nobody wants to be in a relationship with somebody who's constantly projecting their insecurities onto them, whether it is born of their insecurities and this is their way of keeping themselves safe, especially if I seek to love you in a very safe manner. Then those projections feel like a bit of an assault on me. I didn't do anything to deserve this. I wasn't part of the original pain, and now you're making me responsible for it. That can become very, very hard to live with. All right. You constantly expecting things to show up as they did in the past might make you feel safe in the way that you think you can control the circumstances of what's going to happen because you can plan for it because you already know what's going to happen. But what you a lot of people fail to understand is you are creating that very situation for yourself. Because whatever I project into the world, I seek to see. I want to find it. I'm projecting it for a reason, even if I'm doing it subconsciously, which normally I am, right? If I expect to see people want to use and hurt me, then my eye is trained for that outcome. I am looking for instances of being hurt. I am looking for instances that validate my assumptions because I want to validate my assumptions. That makes me safer. If my assumptions are invalidated, then I don't have the data necessary to keep myself safe and forecast future outcomes. That in and of itself is unsafe. That's unsafe. So I need to have enough data to forecast future situations. This is why so many people who are healing ruminate so much. They're doing a play by play, they're picking it apart to see, to understand it so that they can plan for it in the future. But in planning for something, you are expecting to see something, and in expecting to see something, you will receive it. You will find it. Of course you will. Okay. If I project love everywhere, right? If that's what I'm projecting and I expect to be met with love, that's not to say that everyone's going to meet me with love. That is to say that I am going to highlight those instances over the other instances because, again, I seek to validate my assumptions. So I'm going to be more dismissive of any information that does not validate my assumptions. Conversely, if I expect to be hurt, even if you're trying to love me well, I'm probably going to dismiss those instances of the times that you had my back, the times that you took care of me. Think about in the context of maybe you've been in abusive relationships and someone has constantly dismissed all the good things that you've done, and they harp and they highlight on the few negative things that you've done, and then they overinflate it too. They need to validate their assumptions. This is how they expect the world to show up. It makes them feel safe. And that might seem counterintuitive to you, right? Why do I feel safe in my dysfunction? Because it's familiar, because you're aligned with it, because it's comfortable, because it is your safety blanket. It's what you know. You know the space to take there, you know how to forecast outcomes there. So now, if someone tries to treat me in a way that doesn't validate my assumptions, it makes me feel unsafe, even if it's what I want. And it's not a conscious, I feel unsafe. It is a very subconscious, I feel unsafe. And so, what will I do? I might sabotage that relationship, right? I might run from that relationship. I might just ghost you, abandon you, or act in very toxic ways. It has nothing to do with you, it has everything to do with me and my commitment to this very limited perspective on what can happen in the future based off what has happened in the past. All right. And the truth is that you might think, well, I'll convince that person that I am safe, right? But you're not going to convince that person easily. No one's going to convince you easily, right? You will need to be broken down normally, right? That's why we're doing shadow work. But normally you will need to be broken down so that you understand rock bottom is here. Your perspective didn't keep you safe. The limited data you had to forecast wasn't enough. Maybe you should consider some new information. Maybe people aren't trying to hurt you the way that you are convinced that they're trying to hurt you. That's normally the only time that people are receptive to a change in perspective, to adding more information to their data bank that they will consider equivalent to all of their historical data, you know? So it's the best thing for you to step out of those things, to recognize that that person or you are not equipped to meet that person in a healthy place. So, okay, I'm projecting too much. Let me take a step back. Okay. So I want you to think about the ways in which you have projected your negative expectations onto the world and then validated those assumptions, which then just reaffirmed all that data and the original conclusions that you came to. And so you will keep living in that loop forever, desperate to escape it. Okay? You have to change what you expect to see, and you do that by addressing what you are projecting and expecting in this world.